Hey, just really quick, want to tell you all how I'm creating this podcast. It's fairly new, but it's been really exciting to use Anchor. It's been a really good experience so far. If you guys just want to experiment, head to Anchor app or anchor.fm to get started. It's free. It has tons of tools that you can use right on the website or app. It'll distribute your podcast for you, and you can make monetize your podcast, and everything you need to know about podcasting is in one spot. It's been the easiest. If you have any questions, let me know.
Genesis and Psalms were what I read in jail. And I didn't even understand what I was reading, to be honest. Like, it was completely blank to me. Like, it was just words. But I realized what I was reading and reading out loud was just inviting God into my life and allowing Him to do the work. And all I had to do is just seek Him. And He really did the rest.
Welcome to the Salt Podcast, where we talk about all things simple. Yep, simple anointed living tips. I'm your host, Jenny Peña. Before we jump into today's episode, I just wanted to give you all a brief heads up. This episode was interrupted by my daughter who got a stomach bug or food poisoning or something. So my audio gets really wonky, but I decided to go ahead and release this episode anyway because I think Victoria's story is very important. It's amazing. It brings glory to what the Most High can do in people's lives. Another heads up, we cried together in this episode, so you will definitely hear us crying and sniffles. Be sure to have some tissue with you. And one other thing I wanted to share with you all was a review somebody left quite a while ago, and I haven't created a little segment like this to share it. Someone says on Apple Podcast reviews, useful discussions for everyone. I am loving the topics in the SALT podcast. I cannot wait to hear more. I love reading your all's reviews. It gives me a lot of motivation to keep sharing and to keep posting and inviting guests on. It is a little bit of work with 3 children and having to invite guests and schedule and make sure that we can be on the same page to record. But I love it. It's so fun. I just want to tell you all that you can join the Heavenly Treasure subscribers and get 30-day free access to Pink Premium. All you have to do is go to heavenlytreasure.net, sign up for the weekly newsletter, and you will get access to the freebies archive. And the weekly newsletter has the link to access the 30 days free for Pink Premium. In Pink Premium, you get all of these episodes except they are uncut. You don't get any ads, and you get to listen to all the extra bonus episodes. So there are about 12 or 15 extra episodes in there that are not available to the public podcast. So if you need help, let me know. I am always here to help you navigate my website or any questions that you may have or ideas for other podcasts. If you even want to be a guest, there is a link on heavenlytreasure.net to be a guest as well. Okay, I'll let you listen to today's episode. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Salt Podcast. I am so excited for today's guest. The Most High brought us together somehow through social media, through Instagram. And the more I read her posts and the tidbits of her stories she would share, I just felt really drawn and connected. And a lot of things sounded the same of how I came to know the Most High and what my life kind of looked like before, too. So thank you so much, Victoria, for coming on today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to share my story and draw people closer to God.
Man, I'm really grateful to get to hear your story. I know it can be a little scary and intimidating to just tell the whole world, but it's also something that we've been called to do. We've had a few testimonies already on the podcast. Like Madison, she talked about how she used to be a heroin addict, and the Most High just removed that from her life, and she's living a completely different life now. It's so amazing. So, and the Most High has done some great things in my life. So I just love hearing people's testimonies. So I'm so glad that you're going to share yours. I guess the best place to start is, what was your life like before you knew about Christ or anything? Like, what was it like growing up? Did you grow up like in a Christian family or anything?
No, my mom actually grew up Catholic, but my dad didn't believe in anything. He still doesn't. But we've never learned about God. God was not talked about in our home at all. Um, I remember asking my dad who was God, and he didn't say God didn't exist. He just said there's something out there, and it's your choice on what you want to believe in. So that kind of left me with a lot of questions throughout my childhood.
Yeah, that's kind of the same here too. Like my family is Catholic and everything. But so tell us a little bit about yourself. What was your life like? Like what are you all about? Who was Victoria before learning about God?
I was, the devil had his hand on me. I would like to admit that. Like, I did not, I was a rebel, I guess you could say. I didn't have any guidance. My parents were abusive towards each other and to us. And I ended up running away from home at very young age. And at 12, I started getting into meth. Um, and it was it was just super dark. I had nobody, and my parents kicked me out after they found out. So I've been pretty much without a home. Well, now I have a home, but I was like 13 without a home
Oh
up
my
into my
goodness, so
adulthood.
young.
So, yes. And I look back and I'm like, I was so young. Why didn't anybody care about me? And fast forward, I did not find God until I was 21. And I sabotaged. I was just about to move in to my first place that wasn't with a roommate. And I was so scared to live alone. I didn't know how I was going to do it. Like, even though I had everything, I had the money to move. Um, and I was just scared to live alone. So I sabotaged and I ended up putting myself in jail. um,
Girl, how did that
yes.
happen?
Uh, fear. And I did something so, I guess, what is the word? So evil, I guess. Like, it was just, I allowed the devil to get into me, and I ended up almost stabbing my roommate that I lived with
Oh,
before I was about to move out. And I got arrested, and I found God in jail. I did. Um, I actually tried to run away from getting to know him, actually, but I couldn't. He kept me in jail, and I ordered a Bible for the first time, and it was the first time I ever picked up a Bible, and I just read it, and it started changing like my perspective. Like, and I didn't know what was happening to me, but looking back, God was changing my perspective about my life, like how I viewed it, and how He viewed me. And this was just back in 2017. I went to jail, and um, my roommates actually were reading the Bibles, and they asked me to get one, and I said no, I don't want it. I'm
Oh
going to.
no.
I said no, I don't want it. I'm going to get out of here. And I went to court that very day, and they denied me my release. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go read the Bible then, because that was the only book that was available in there. So I read it, and I just started getting closer to God ever since then.
That's so amazing. So you learned about God while you were sitting in jail and they
Yes.
wouldn't let you out. So that was like your only the only thing you could do was just turn to the Bible.
Yes, because that was the only book they allowed us to have. Basically, books are kind of hard to get in there. So the Bible, they just give it out for free. And so I got one, and I just started reading.
And you were 21?
Yes, I was 21.
Wow. So this whole time you said that you left your home when you were 13 and only until you were 21 you started learning about the Bible and getting closer to God. So like what
Yes.
happened in between that time? Were you able to like find a home, someone to stay with, or were you able
I
to like go
was
to school?
I did not go to school. I did not even go to high school. That's like, I'm gonna cry. I didn't even go to high school.
Sorry.
Went to high school for a week, and then my family had told my probation officer that I um stole things from them, which I didn't, and I had to be removed from their home. So I ended up back on the street.
That definitely the enemy wanted you to have nothing,
Yeah, I had absolutely
sister.
nothing.
So they made it so that you couldn't go to school and
Yes.
had what did you do then? Like what could you do? Where did you live?
I lived with older men, just getting by, living on the streets and doing drugs. And I even, I slept with a lot of men just to have a home. And it's pretty sad looking back at it.
Yeah, of
Just,
course. That's so sad. Like not having a family or even like just relatives to go to that would take you in. You had to fend for yourself at such a young age. And from your photos that I see now, you are a beautiful woman. And anybody will just want to take advantage of you. I can just imagine. Oh my goodness, my heart goes to you so much, sister.
thank you.
So you just
Um,
lived on the streets from 13 to 21.
well, I ended up having my sons at 16. I had my son at 16, my first. And I stayed with their father for about up until I was 20. So 16 to 20, I lived with him. And then things didn't work out. So I ended up living with roommates, and falling back into what I'd known as, a teen, as it was um, hard, separating from my kids at having my children at 16 and growing up with them. And then having all this free time, and I didn't know what to do. I was so lost. I was so hurt without them. I didn't have any friends or anyone to talk to, and I didn't know God. So I ended up falling back into what I knew, which was
Mhm.
drugs and alcohol to help me.
Oh, wow. So you didn't have your children? You couldn't keep your children with you?
Um, their dad never let them live with me. Um, I agreed to let my children live with their dad because I was living with roommates and he had his family. He was staying with his family. So I agreed to let the kids stay with dad. So I would see my kids during the day, but I would work at night. And I worked in a bar.
Oh, okay.
I was a bartender. So I started working at a bar when I was 18, right when I turned 18. And I was a stay-at-home mom.
Oh, okay. So you had two children and you were working at a bar at that point?
Yes, yes.
Oof, girl. That's so crazy. Like I have two children. Well, I have three children, but I was just imagining having two children so young and having had all that trauma that you had been through and living like that. I just can't imagine the life without Christ now that we know it, right?
I
Looking
was
back,
living in darkness.
yeah, I'm sure you
And
could feel it now and see it now what it how dark it really was, huh?
yes. And I realized how traumatic my childhood was. Like growing up, it was just, was suppressing my feelings. I was not allowed to feel because if I felt, that would mean that I was broken. And I couldn't be broken because I had nobody. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
have all these emotions that was bottled up inside that are finally making its way into the light, I feel like. And I'm so glad to finally be able to blossom into the woman I didn't even know I could be.
It's amazing. Wow, I am so happy for you. So, okay, now let's go back to you being in jail then.
Okay.
Um, that's where you finally started learning about God. Like, did you believe in God at that point?
I believed in God. Yeah, I was still skeptical. I mean, I was I didn't know how who he was or anything about him, but I believed he was out there. I believed he could hear me.
So, with that little bit of belief, you started working in you through reading the Bible. Were there certain things that you would read that was like, whoa? Was there like a time that you were like, how come I have been missing out on this?
No, actually, I had no idea what I was reading. I just read it. I read Psalms. I think that was like, and then I tried to get into Genesis. Genesis and Psalms were what I read in jail, and I didn't even understand what I was reading. To be honest, like it was completely blank to me. Like it was just
Um,
words, but I realized those what I was reading and reading out loud was just inviting God into my life and allowing Him to do the work. And all I had to do is just seek Him, and He really did the rest.
so what was the rest? What was he doing in you? Like, what were you feeling that was changing?
I was very angry before, and I would get into a lot of fights as a child and into my adulthood. So I just hated everyone. So when I sat in jail, he was working on my anger that I could see because he put me in one situation in jail where another woman and I got into it, and I ended up getting like the whole jail on lockdown. And so everybody was mad. um, but I remember we exchanged words, but it wasn't physical. As much as I wanted it to be, it got shut down. And I ended up crying that day. And I was asking God, why am I feeling this way? Why am I even crying? Like, why do I feel this way? Like, what is going on? Why do I feel like I need to be angry all the time? Why am I having these thoughts? Because I would literally get such these evil thoughts, like about murder, basically. And I didn't even know why I was having these thoughts, what made me so angry. So in jail, I was, I had prayed these things and I'm no longer that angry person anymore. I don't feel angry anymore, and I just thank God for that.
Wow, yes, praise the Lord for that. I guess all that anger was growing in you from all that trauma and that pushing away and pushing you away and the life that you had to live because no one was there for you. That anger just built up and built up, huh?
Yes.
And finally the Most High was able to reach you and bring you joy instead. And um what happened? Like, how were you able to get out of jail, and what happened after?
So, right after I started reading the Bible, things started really changing. Actually, like before I even read the Bible, um, my the guy I was with, he was trying to put money on my book so that I could get commissary, and it kept getting denied. Um,
Mm.
but as soon as I opened that Bible, my commissary started getting approved. And then I had a court date. I didn't even know that I was getting released that day. So I went to court by surprise, and the judge released me. And I was just like, what? I'm getting released? And it was such a God moment because I didn't know I was getting released. Um, and I really believe it was just God because my case was kind of like pretty bad, and somehow I was able to get released. And it's God, it was God all the way.
Oh my goodness, that's so
So
amazing.
yeah, so I got released, and it was the most terrifying feeling ever because I was in there for 2 months. Um, and I wanted to stay in, to be honest. I didn't want to go back into the real world because the real world was so hard on me. But
Mm.
um, I was released on November 27th um, in 2017, and I didn't have any money. Um, I didn't have my phone either. So my phone was dead, and I had to ride the bus, something that I hate to do. I'm very prideful in how I look, and I was sitting at the bus stop with nothing but my Bible in my hand. And I was like, God, I'm not going to get on this bus. I'd rather walk back inside and go back to jail. and I got on the bus. He gave me the courage to get on the bus. And I went to the only place I knew was my kid's father's house. And I charged my phone and I called my friend, and she picked me up. And yeah, I began reading more books about faith, and I met my husband that very week I got out, and that's where it all began. Right after I got out of jail, I started putting action behind my faith, really. Something
Mm-hmm.
that I've never did before, and it was scary, but God got me through my fears.
Wow, praise the Lord. I feel you. I feel you so much on
Oh,
not wanting to be a part of, the world is so scary. I mean, we can't
it
even know all the
is.
things that you experience like at such a young age, and not even, being able to have somebody mentor you, like have like a mother figure, an aunt, or anybody to just show you the way.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Most High brings you in his spirit, like just revives you and shows you how to live and how to live for him. And so what happened
Amen.
when you met your husband? Like what changed? Like what does your life look like now after you guys met and everything?
We, it's been a lot of trials ever since we met. my life looks just prayerful now. Like I fight my battles with prayer now rather than my fist. um, but my life is unexplainable, like unexplainably blessed is all I can say. I finally have a home and it just feels really good to have a home. But it didn't always feel this good. It came with heartache in the beginning because I couldn't believe the fact that I have a home now. So, I would kind of take it out on my husband, or, I would let thoughts come into my head that I didn't deserve this or a husband because of what I did, what I had to do, what I had to do. Um, but I'm learning to um, not let those thoughts control me anymore. And it's taken a lot of work to get here, um, to stop feeling like I'm undeserving. Um, I'm just a better person, like now, spiritually and physically and emotionally. The more um, I be patient with myself and my child, the more God gives me like these memories of when I was a child. And it's been like hurting me lately, not hurting me, but in a good way. Like, wow, I didn't even remember what I gone through because I didn't want to remember it at one point. And so now God is just making me remember, kind of like telling me like you're never going back to that, but you need to face this in order to move forward. Is kind of where I'm at right now.
Oof, that's powerful. It's hurtful and healing. And I feel like there's always going to be like the sorrow of this world, right? Like that's our hope, is
Mm-hmm.
that eventually we're he's just going to take away all the sorrows and replace it with joy fully. And
Yeah.
it's always in it be something, at least for me, I don't know. It's always something like, oof, like shocking, because you feel the contrast of like the Most High's love and light and peace and all the fruits of the Spirit, and the complete shock of like, wow, I did that, or that was
Mm-hmm.
done to me, or like, oh, wow, I'm so grateful that that's not happening anymore to me, or I'm not doing that anymore because the Most High like changed me. I feel you,
Mm-hmm.
girl. I feel you. So what are you up to now? Like, you have another baby, you all got married and you're able to have your children with you?
Yes, my kids actually lived with me when I moved out here to California. I moved when I met my husband, and I moved my kids out here, which was we rushed into things, but it was a wonderful learning process now, to get it right. Finally, it feels good. But my kids are with their dad this year. They just left. My boys, I have two boys from my previous relationship. Um, they went back with dad, because I'm not financially ready. Like, I can't have, it was just, kids are a lot, and he was not helping with, I never took him for child support. So it was just our income, my husband's income. And so I was like, hey, I'm running into financial problems. Can you take the boys for this year? And he said, sure. And so they're with him for the year, and I'll be getting them back next school year. But I have my girl with my husband. We had a girl. She just made
Wow.
two, and we are a blended family. Um,
That's
and
sweet.
I am starting. Well, I did start a business. It's not launched yet, but I'm just started a business. I sell candles and wax melts, and Yeah, I never knew I could start a business. I mean, who knew? Only God.
Yeah, I see you. I see what you're up to on your Instagram accounts, and I just love seeing like how sometimes you post about what your life used to be like or things that you've gone through before, and I just see. I don't see any of that actually. I don't see any of that now, and I'm like, whoa! I would have never imagined that that's what you've been through and lived through, woman. What what brought you to want to talk about it more on your and create an Instagram account?
It was actually I prayed about it. I didn't know I wanted to like minister to women specifically. I wanted to help people is what I told God. And I prayed. My exact prayer was just, I feel like I need to do this, God, and you need to help me if this is what you want me to do because I don't know what I'm doing. And so um, I actually just made a year. So last year I prayed about it and I was stuck on a name. I wanted to start a blog actually. I never ended up doing that. I do one day, but it was supposed to be a blog I was starting and I couldn't figure out my blog name. And
Mhm.
so I prayed about it. I said, God, every name is taken and I can't come up with anything else. So it's going to have to come from you if this is what you want me to do. And so I just left it at that. And then a couple days after, I had met with a friend and I barely know her. Maybe we're just like friends from a mom group, and we went to the park, and all of a sudden, she just starts telling me her story, and she starts crying and crying and crying, and I'm just like praying over her and just like encouraging her. And then God spoke that day when I was alone, and He was like, "God favors women," and I was like, "What the heck? That sounds awesome! Like, where the heck did that come from?" And I
Mhm.
was just like, oh my gosh, I have to run. I have to create it. So I created the account and I was like, oh my gosh, it went through. And I was just like, that's like the
Nobody else had
perfect
it.
name. I was like,
Right.
that is just like God. Oh my gosh. And I fell in love with the name. And the funnier part was I did not like women. Like I could not, I had so many bad experiences, like with friends, that I hated women. I did not want anything to do with the women. like, um, I just didn't get along with women growing up, and it was just a bad experience. And I viewed women as like the enemy, to be honest. Like I just I even didn't even identify myself as a woman. I always saw myself as a girl. So it's kind of funny how God gave me the name to minister to women specifically. And ever since then, oh my gosh, I have met so many wonderful women and that I got to pray for, and I see my prayers manifest in their life. Like it's like, girl, I prayed for you. Good, like it's just so amazing now. Like, wow, God, you brought all these women together, and you especially. Like, this is my first podcast, and wow, God brought me here right now. So
Oh,
that's where it all began.
that's such a blessing. It's true. For some reason, the enemy doesn't want us to have a sisterhood, huh? So it feels like growing up,
Yes.
yeah, and like in the secular world, there's always like this competition or there's this pushing each other down instead of having these relationships where we build each other up. We're like backstabbers. And I say we because I used to be a backstabber too. I wasn't the innocent one all the time either. So
Mm-hmm.
now being with with women and other women in faith, it's this bringing each other up and like, what can I do for you? Like, I want to help you in your business too, or whatever you need, or come on the podcast and tell your
Mm-hmm.
story. Like it's this, it's a different picture. It's obviously it's not perfect in every church. There's going to be those type of women. So of course, it's not like everything's just, happy dandy all the time. But the Most High puts the right people in our lives that are just going to, just revive us, like give us that joy, and you feel it too, like have you ever felt that, like the vibes from people, like, oh, this person, I need this person, or like, but God, take that person away from me, please, you could feel that more now.
Yes. Yes, more than ever.
That's amazing. Oh, I'm so happy for you. So that's where you're at now, huh, sister? You're just getting your business going and enjoying your motherhood and being a wife and a daughter of the Most High. What is your, I guess, just if the listeners are curious, what is your favorite, like, go-to scripture, like Bible verse?
It would have to be 2 Timothy. I think it's chapter 1, verse 7, if I'm not mistaken. Let me Google it real quick. Sorry. Just so I don't misquote Aaron.
Yeah, right?
But this was...
I'm finding it too. So we can look at it together. First Timothy 1.
Okay. Yes, it is. Okay. It is, for the Spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. It's always been my go-to verse. And it was the first verse I actually meditated on.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Wait, okay. First Timothy what?
Chapter 1, verse 7. Second Timothy.
Oh, I'm in First Timothy. My bad. Okay, 2 Timothy 1:7. For God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and a sound mind. Oh my goodness. Oh wow, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's a very... I love that verse so much.
Awesome. I love it. Okay, sister, if you had one thing that you can tell a sister that was in front of you right now that was going through something similar that you went through, what would you tell her? What would your final words be to her?
Don't ever lose your faith, because that is what you need to get yourself through anything. It's nothing but your faith, and don't ever lose it. That's what I would say.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's probably the best thing. Yeah, don't lose your faith and hope. Thank you so much, again, sister, for being on here and sharing your story with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you have a great day.
Thanks for listening in. Be sure to hit subscribe and visit heavenlytreasure.net for more. See you on IG at Heavenly Treasure Living. Till next time, blessings, and remember to be the salt of the earth.